Welcome everybody to the massive Nerdmigo's original podcast, M.N.O.P or Menop for short. We are three geeks and nerds talking about nerd culture for your listening pleasure. Topics will range from games to comics, movies to TV, and everything in between that we geeks and nerds appreciate. My name is Dorag-ing, I'm your host for this episode number 1, and I'm joined today by my wonderful co-host Massively Gaming, and our absent co-host, Wibblesniff, will be here in future episodes. On today's agenda, we are looking to give you some quick introductions as to who we are, this being episode 1 after all. We're going to have a discussion around Activision Blizzard, looking at their acquisition by Microsoft, the challenges that is facing, and their questionable practices around Overwatch 2 characters. We're going to take a quick look at the Ubisoft Forward from the last weekend, and then we're going to have a quick discussion over Nintendo's Direct and Sony's State of Play that have happened this week as well, before then closing out the episode. So without further ado, let's get in to episode number 1. So as this is our first episode, it feels only right that we introduce ourselves to you. We're going to start with my co-host so you can hear his voice and get to know him a bit, before he then turns the tables on me. To get the ball rolling, all three of us who will be in this podcast create content across the usual platforms. But hey, we'll save the specifics for each of us to tell you ourselves. So Lee, welcome to episode 1. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing very well, my friend. How are you?
Well, I'm excited to get this going. It's been about a month or so in scheduling and preparation, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I like the idea of bringing like two different communities together and getting some new people coming in. But tell me about yourself. Like, what's your lore? Where does your name come from, for example? What sort of content do you create, and where do you create content?
Okay, well, my name's Lee. But I mostly stream on Twitch under the guise of Massively Gaming. My name is a bit of an interesting one because I don't really have much lore around it. It's just I wanted something that was a lot more approachable than the last name I had, because everything that I either streamed or played games under was the name Tramp Attack, which probably wasn't the most approachable of names. Hey, yo, do you want to go watch Tramp Attack over at Twitch? No one's going to be saying that.
It does sound like a seedy back alley type establishment, that one, yes.
Well, it's when I first signed up to like Xbox 360, Xbox Live, like years ago, I was aghast to find out that the name Lee was taken. Like, how fucking dare they?
So how dare they, yes.
Am I allowed to swear on this?
We'll cross that bridge after we've finished recording, eh? See how much it takes to beep out.
Yeah. So how dare someone take the name Lee? So I just for banter put the first thing I could think of, and as a young, because this was back when I was in like college, so I must have been like 16, 17. I was just like, oh, what if I put Tramp Attack? Oh, I spelled attack wrong and all of that. So that was literally just my guys for years, until I thought, you know, we'll properly have a go at this streaming malarkey, but we need something a bit more user friendly. I was looking at names, and then we came, because I was speaking to Scott about it, our good friend Gringo Gren, and he was saying like you should do something with your name, because Lee goes quite well with a lot of things. So if we had like Massively Gaming, which also sounds like Massively Gaming, because that's what we do on the channel. There's lots of game, but I'm also fat, so it sort of works in both ways. So
it became a bit of a meta name.
It became a bit of a joke at the end. But it's stuck with me now for a couple of years, and I did contemplate changing it not that long ago, but after some discussions I was like, nah, we'll just keep with it, because I don't know how much I like the word gaming in there, but at the end of the day it goes with what it is, so I think we're just gonna roll with it for now.
I mean, if that's the content that you create, there's nothing wrong with having it on there, but also just the name Massively, you can utilize that in so many different ways. Obviously it's up to you, but yeah, I think maybe at some point dropping the game in, it would open you up to additional content. But speaking of that, one assumes, therefore, you create gaming content.
I do. There's not much rhyme or rhythm to my content creation as such. I'm very winging it, and you would say, "Oh, sorry, 2 seconds. That's my front door." We knew that would happen.
We knew it would happen.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Right. Nearly there. Nearly there. Wait, where's my headset? Oh god. Yeah. I'm back.
How many sets of stairs have you just launched yourself down and back up?
I'm in the loft, so I'm up 2 flights of stairs. So I've run down 2 flights of stairs, ran back up 2 flights. Like Emma sent me a list of things that she's expecting to receive today. So something from Yodel 1 till 3, something from Pets at Home from like 12:30 to 2:30. Amazon's coming after 3. Tesco's coming from 4 till 5. Fuck, I'm so fat. But the good thing is, Amazon's not expected. Right, the other 2 have turned up. Amazon's not expected for free. I've got an hour now.
Okay, all right, let's roll it then, shall we?
All right.
So you were saying you were winging it. There's no rhyme or reason to the content you make.
So like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to the content I make. I sort of just wing it as I go. I don't really have like an end goal. I don't have like an end plan. I never got into streaming because I wanted to be big or do any of this. I just did it because a bunch of us started during lockdown. There was a whole bunch of us sort of like, oh yeah, we could just stream for a bit, just as a way to pass time effectively. But most of them stopped. Pretty much, I think all the people I started streaming with have now stopped. Just me on my Todd going. And the only reason I still do it is because the beautiful, amazing community of people I've got around me, where I've got some of my best friends, some of the best friends I've got in this world I met through streaming. And even people like yourself, Dorag-ing, who I knew of before I started streaming, but through streaming and content creation, I feel that we've gone from like acquaintances to being like pretty good friends.
I would say so, yeah, definitely. I've had a very similar experience with people you come into contact with. There's people I call friend in this world. I don't even know what they look like. And that's a weird thing to say. But then saying that, I suppose back in the day, everybody had pen pals, didn't they? So just these names that you see pop up in your chat or something, they can mean so much to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that community, I totally get that side of things. It means... I think it's probably the biggest reason most people stick around in content creation, the community that they create around them that expands and grows as as a content creator does.
That's the only thing that keeps me going at the moment. Like I contemplate stopping from time to time, but then every time I think about it for a minute, I think about missing out the conversations I have with people in stream and stuff like that. So it's just a nice fun hobby that I've got on the side that keeps me in contact with lots of wonderful people.
Brilliant. And on that front then, how regularly can people expect to find new content from you, and where can they find it?
So like I said, I stream on Twitch and I mostly stream 3 times a week. My usual schedule is so we're BST at the moment, so it's Monday nights from 6 p.m. BST till about 10:30, and the same for Wednesday as well. And then Friday nights, we start at 8 p.m. and just go until I die, basically. Could be a 2-hour stream, could be an 8-hour stream, just see what happens. I kind of want to start making YouTube content, but I don't want it to be shit. So I don't want to rush it, basically. So I don't really have too much time at the moment between some of the things that I'm doing. So the YouTube content is coming. It's just... when I have the right time and stuff that I actually want to do. But it makes perfect sense. I don't feel any rush for it. So it's just something that is in my mind, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So yeah, that's Massive Lee. He's one of my co-hosts. As and when we do get Wibble Sniff in here, he's just off ill today, unfortunately. It does happen to the best of us. We'll do the same with him so you can find out about himself. But as of right now, I have to let the tables be flipped and Lee do some grilling of me. So take it away, my man. Take it away.
So, Dorag-ing, tell us, same for you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about the naming process for the channel, and tell us what sort of content you create and where we can expect to find it.
So my name's Dorag-ing. The name's actually got a little bit of history to it. It actually came from my cosplay escapades. So long before I got into the content creation side of things, I was doing a lot of cosplay, a lot of different events. I've done some worldwide competitions. I've flown over to Japan for finals events and stuff, all because of costumes I've created, worn, and paraded around in character, that sort of thing. And I needed a name to sort of grow, to sort of allow those competitions to take place. I needed a name that wasn't my real name. You can get a lot of odd people in the cosplay industry, whether they're industry insiders or whether they're just fans. I wanted to separate things so that they couldn't find where I lived and just turn up on the doorstep, sort of thing. Sounds absolutely stupid, and
it makes sense.
It sounds like a nightmare that would never come true, but I've known it happen to friends from that community. So I needed a name, and at the time it was like, well, what do I go with? Where do I go? Everybody was making up things based on characters that they had dressed as, based on what, say, their normal job was. There's a guy out there who he dresses as Goku most of the time, but he uses that for his personal trainer business. He's a really good friend. We've been over to Japan together before for cosplay competitions. So it was like, well, looking around at everybody, what they were doing. And then I've always had a bit of an affinity with dragons. I was born in Year of the Dragon from the Chinese zodiac. I loved dinosaurs growing up, and of course, you make a sideways step from that and you get dragons. It just depends which part of the skeleton they found. And a couple of the costumes that I was wearing at the time were very dragon orientated. So like NUTZ Dragneel from Fairy Tale, who was a dragon slayer, actual dragon fighters, that sort of thing. And I just thought, well, what can I do around dragon? And I looked to the Japanese language, and they have a lovely word which means a Western dragon. So there's two types of dragons that you'll come across, a Western dragon and an Eastern dragon. One has legs, one does not. And the name for the Western dragon is Dorag-ing. So that is where that name came from. Just my affinity with dragons, requiring a different name than my real one to protect myself in the cosplay industry. And then I've just carried it with me thereafter as I got into content creation. It works really nicely. It gave me a beautiful logo, which was drawn up by a member of the community, and I suppose they can say the rest is history. I'm stuck with that forever now.
I didn't actually know that about the Eastern and Western dragon thing. That's pretty cool. I like that.
It's very cool. It was weird when I was in the finals for the One Piece cosplay competition Grand Prix in Japan, and of course it's hosted by locals. So they're chatting away and they're reading through the script of who they're introducing, what they're saying about each person coming on stage. And one of them was just like, is this guy's name really just Dragon? But they're like the only people who just look at it and enunciate it correctly as well, which is great. I'd love to go into Japan for that matter. It was very satisfying.
One of, like, off topic a little bit, one of my favorite things about your name is that a lot of people don't pronounce it properly, which sets up to some amazing jokes. When we once raided a channel, we all went in together, and Jimbo Dorag-ing was talking in chat. Sorry, I won't real name. Let me start that again. Shit, I got that. So one of my favorite things about your name is that people don't pronounce it properly the first time they see it, which leads to some quite funny setups for jokes and stuff. So one time when we raided and Dorag-ing was talking in chat, the person was like, "Oh, yo, thank you for the follow, Dorag-ing." And you just be like, "Dorag-ing these nuts in your mouth, let's go." So that's my favorite thing about your name.
It's so weird because, like, when you look at it, when it's written down, it's just adding an O to dragon. It's just adding an O after the D in dragon. And the amount of different enunciations, the amount of weird jokes that come from it And the fact that people can't be bothered to say the whole thing as well. Like, there's that many different sort of chats that I'm called Dora the Explorer in, which is longer than my actual name.
I've seen you called Dora in a few chats before.
It's like, oh, come on, guys, come on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah, it does open up some fantastically funny moments. It's not quite as useful as yours, like with some of your stream titles, like, oh, we're entering the massively amazing world of etc. etc. But the massively is just your name. But yeah, it does come up with some joke moments, definitely.
Fantastic. So what sort of content can we expect to see through? Where can we expect to see it? And what inspired you to be the content creator you are today?
Oh my. So the type of content I make is quite varied. I started trying to narrow it down to a niche because, you know, any YouTube guide you watch about how to start YouTube says you need to find a niche and stay within that niche. And I just couldn't find one. I've got too many different and disparate interests, sort of thing. And I've got masses of knowledge on so many of them. It's like, I need to get this out somewhere, otherwise my head's going to explode. So that was how I started making the content. It initially started as like an archive thing for me and my gaming clan of just cool things we'd been able to do together. And then eventually just evolved over time. It was content creators like Mr. Fruit, True Vanguard and co on the Destiny side of things that made me want to curate my content a little bit more, edit it and make it either a fun playthrough or what have you. But then there were other creators like, say, Skill Up, who did amazing reviews. Lasers was a UK creator who was very into Assassin's Creed, just like myself at the time, who did amazing video essays on what those games meant to him, why they were good, why they were bad, that sort of thing. And it was just taking bits of inspiration from all of these different creators about what I wanted to do and then trying stuff. As it is right now, I've sort of hit a bit of my own niche, which is creating content on the devices that you already own. So I don't own a PC. I don't own most gaming hardware. I do most of what I do through Android, for example. So I create the content that I want to create to the best possible ability that I can. And then I show people how they do that. And it's really quite positive for a lot of people looking to get started in content creation, because I didn't have any of this information around me when I started. So to be able to put that out there for other people, edit that down, script it, put thumbnails up for it, and give this whole sort of presentation package, it's quite rewarding for myself. And it's led to some amazing friendships, some amazing collaborations across the Atlantic, across the Pacific, and so on. It's brought a lot of cool stuff to my plate.
Fantastic. And how regularly can we expect to see new videos, new streams from Dorag-ing?
So new videos, the more curated, edited stuff, I try to do one a week. I want them to be the best that they possibly can be. I want to create them in a way that is engaging, that keeps improving on what I've done before. So I feel like weekly is pretty good for that. Nice. But live streams will pop up on YouTube, same channel. You'll see it all in the same place. Live streams will pop up whenever I've got the spare time to do it. We've all got real lives outside of this. Most of us aren't hugely monetized or anything, so we do have full-time jobs and stuff that we have to go to. So yeah, it's weekly for the curated videos, and then just turn on notifications for when the live streams go up.
Fantastic.
So you've now got to know your hosts a little bit. That is the first port of call out of the way for us, guys. Now let's get into a bit more of discussion, normal podcast territory. Now, this episode, we're going to focus a little bit more on gaming for the simple reason, well, massively gaming. Dorag-ing does a lot of gaming content. We thought it sort of suited the existing communities, and it's a nice gateway for anybody new, because anybody can look up this information, form their own opinions on it, and then, well, either join in if you're watching this on YouTube by commenting down below anything you want to input, or any questions you've got for us. Yes.
Roast our opinions. Tell us we're wrong.
Tell us why we're wrong as well. Give us an in-depth essay. We will read it. Trust me.
Don't give actual opinions. Just tell us we're wrong and move on. Like and subscribe. Sorry.
So I'm going to hand over the mic once more to Massively to take us through this first point, because it's going to be around Activision Blizzard. There's two main points that we want to focus on. And I think the first one is something a little bit close to your heart there, Lee, isn't it?
Oh, about Blizzard being stingy with the Overwatch characters.
Being stingy with the Overwatch characters. I think that's probably one of the politest ways I've seen it put in recent weeks.
Right. So if people aren't aware, Overwatch 2 comes out at the beginning of October. When Overwatch 2 comes out, it will be, the PvP will be free to play. You don't need to buy the game. You can download Overwatch 2 when it comes out, jump straight in and have some fights with some homies. Sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds amazing, yeah.
Yeah, but as with all free to play, there are some restrictions. So when you get Overwatch 2 and you download it, you'll have all the existing heroes that came out in Overwatch 1, which you have to have because Blizzard are also closing Overwatch 1 when Overwatch 2 comes out. So
wait. What? They're closing the Overwatch 1 servers?
Overwatch 1 will die as Overwatch 2 emerges. That is confirmed. That is actually happening.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. So Overwatch 1 will die. They've already started the killing off process of Overwatch 1. You can no longer buy loot boxes. And all your loot boxes that you have, because I know some people stash them. I, at one point, had about 90 odd loot boxes because I just didn't see the point in opening them.
Pizza party video.
Yeah, I spent like 20 minutes just just hammering through all the buttons. But yeah, so loot boxes you cannot buy anymore. They are dead. Because when Overwatch 2 comes out, it will be a battle pass system, a season pass system, whatever you want to call it. They'll be familiar with you if you play games like Fortnite. Fortnite has a very popular battle pass. For Rocket League has the Rocket Pass, which is effectively a season pass. So what it'll be is you can either play the freemium season pass, which is where you'll unlock barely anything for playing the game, or you'll have the premium season pass, which on standard is normally about £10, £10, £10, 10 euros, wherever you're from. It's roughly around about that price point, where for every level that you go up from XP, you'll unlock a new item, a new bit of cosmetic, the stuff that you'd normally find within the Overwatch loot boxes. Which
with you so far,
which opens up the wormhole, the what happens if you take a break? What happens if you miss a season because you got other things to do? And then everyone has other stuff that you don't, which I guess isn't the end of the world, is it? It's like first world problems. So and so has a shinier badge than me. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it from the Destiny side of things. I play a lot of Destiny that has 3-month season passes, and there's weapons and cosmetics that people have missed out on. There's also content that just isn't there anymore, like game modes and such. And I get that feeling of FOMO, that fear of missing out. I had it for ages, and I was pumping time into that game that I wasn't enjoying just to make sure I didn't miss any of it. Yeah. But then, like, from my perspective, and I don't know where this is going right now, so this could all get scuppered with your next comments. But so it doesn't matter as long as you've got the characters and what have you, and the guns and all that. Like, a shinier skin, a shinier badge, that doesn't impact your gameplay at all. I get what people are worried about with missing with that, especially if you've paid for it, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have this shiny gun skin or something.
But Dorag-ing, what if we did put the characters in the season pass?
Oh, please no.
What if the new heroes were locked behind a paywall?
Oh, please no.
What they've confirmed is that when Overwatch 2 comes out and the first season pass is released, when you buy the premium season pass, you'll get access to the new support character. I can't remember the name exactly. I think it's Kiriko or something along that line, but it's a new support character. Bear in mind, we haven't had a new support character in over 1,000 days.
Oh, that's like 3 years of no new support characters.
Yeah,
I think
the last support character was Baptiste, and that was actually released closer to the release of Overwatch 1 than it was actually to the end of Overwatch 1, if you get my drift.
My days.
It's been a while. So
yeah.
you can unlock the new support character without buying it, but you have to play through the battle pass to unlock it.
Okay. So it's not end of the world. You've just got to put a bit more effort in.
But it is, though. If, say, you're playing a game and you're getting dominated and you want to get a character out to hard counter. Now, it's not too bad because you've got 2 support and you've got 2 DPS, but say the new character, because we are getting one in either not next season or the season after, the new character is a tank character. There is only 1 tank. If, say, I only have the free the free season pass, and I haven't got to the point where I unlock the tank, and you are in the middle of the game, and you know that you're getting countered, and the only hard counter for you is to swap from your tank character to the new tank character, you can just imagine how that conversation is going to go. Tank, can you please swap to so-and-so tank because, you know, you're getting dominated there. And you're just going to be like, I'm sorry, I haven't got to that bit in the battle pass yet, so we're going to lose the game.
Oh, my days.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
So that is artificially changing the meta. It feels like I'm totally talking from an outsider here. I don't play Overwatch. I didn't buy the first one because I hated the idea of getting half a game for full price. So I didn't buy the first one. I liked the idea of the new one going to be free to play, but this whole locking characters, locking counters, locking part of the meta behind a paywall or an exponentially large playtime, it feels like it's gatekeeping.
It's boring as well, if you ask me. Like, I've never really been one for loot boxes. I think loot boxes are very difficult to get correct. Like, if you've ever played like FIFA Ultimate Team, it's just predatory. It's just money making bullshit, basically.
Yeah,
you know, because everyone wants to get the best card, so they'll just spam through points. With the loot boxes that Overwatch 1 had, you got one every level, and there was nothing in that loot box that would give you an advantage over anyone else. And it's different. Like, I could get a loot box and then someone could get a loot box, and they're completely different things. So we all look different. With the battle pass, everyone's going to unlock the same.
Everybody's getting the same thing.
Everyone's going to get the same thing. Everyone's going to have the same skin. Everyone's going to have the same sprays. Everyone's going to have the same. I don't know. It's just boring. I don't want to grind a whole battle pass just to get a legendary skin. I want to have a 1% chance of getting a legendary skin with a random loot box I get every level. I don't see why we're going from what I thought was the best loot box system in gaming. I don't play many loot box games, so don't, hold me to that. I'll fight you in the comments. To a battle pass season, which I guess works, but it's just boring. But the way that they're doing it, because instead of me paying $50 straight up right for the game and then getting all of my cosmetics for free for the rest of it,
you're going to end up paying more than that.
I'm going to be paying $10 every 3 months. Where if I play Overwatch for a few years, if you
play it for the same lifespan as Overwatch 1, you've then paid more for the second game than you would have done for the first game.
Yeah.
That is... I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. This is Activision Blizzard that we're talking about here. These are the guys who are getting sued by 2 separate states for their predatory frat boy cultures. So it shouldn't really come as a surprise, but this is the Blizzard side of the company, which everybody has always said, at least to me, is the good side, the side that you can trust, the side that you can rely on, and that sort of thing. So to hear them going down this route, again, I'm going to bring it back to Destiny from my experience, because it's probably the one that I know best. Like a few 100 days worth of game time, I know it inside out. Now, Destiny has the Battle Pass system. Every 3 months, there's a new Battle Pass. You can buy an expansion every year, and you can pay a little bit extra to get all of your Battle Passes built in, your season passes. Yeah. Everybody gets the same in those season passes, but every 5 levels within those season passes, you get essentially a loot box. It will only give you one thing. Now, one thing is cosmetic, or it can be currency that can be used to buy additional cosmetics. Yeah. But every 5 levels, you get one of those essential loot boxes to give you a cosmetic item. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are terrible. It gives you that sort of endorphin hit that you've been talking about with that 1% chance of getting a legendary skin.
Yeah.
And when you've completed that season pass, every 5 levels thereafter, you still get that cosmetic loot box. You're not getting anything else from the season pass at that point. You've claimed everything else. Some of it is for advancing your power levels. Some of it is new weaponry. Some of it is infusion material to bring your power level up on other bits of kit and what have you. Some of it's shaders to change the color of your armor and what have you. Some of it's skins for your armor to change your aesthetics and mix and match with other ones that you've got from previous seasons or purchased or won from those loot boxes and such. And that setup feels very fair to me.
Yeah.
I have no problem paying for this live service game that's constantly giving me story content, that's constantly giving me new ways to play. And it's about 10 quid every 3 months. And then they bring out a massive expansion each year that is incredibly difficult, that is incredibly rewarding in terms of story, lore, gear, and what have you.
Yeah.
But that setup feels right.
Yeah.
Like you've got the bit of both. Like it's not going to be a pay to win scenario because nothing that you're getting from that battle pass is any different to anything anybody else is getting, because you can get the same weapons from the free version or the paid version. You just get them ever so slightly quicker in the paid version, but you can still get the same weaponry. Cosmetics, everybody likes different cosmetics, and then you get that chance every 5 levels to get something really cool or really trash. I don't get how we're in a position where a game like that has been around since 2014, has near enough perfected this process of how to do a battle pass, how to reward player engagement, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And other companies aren't copying it.
I don't know. It's all just money, isn't it? At the end of the day.
100%, yeah.
Blizzard have gone to this new battle pass system because they want more money for the lives. I don't know anyone that buys Overwatch loot boxes. I've never met someone in my life that's bought an Overwatch loot box because you get so many for just playing the game.
Yeah.
So
Makes
Blizzard
no sense.
Aren't getting any money, or they're getting minimal money from the Overwatch system now that they want to prioritize the season pass. And I didn't like the season pass. It's not my favorite way of doing things, but I didn't have like a massive problem with it until they put heroes in it, which is just stupid.
Which for a hero shooter,
yeah, it's bad.
You shouldn't lock heroes in a hero shooter behind a paywall. That is then pay to win.
I think the most eloquent way I can put this is Activision Blizzard have shit the bed with this one.
I mean, we've got a bit of the track record with it, and it's why they accepted that massive Microsoft buyout. It's like $70 billion. The nearest makes no difference, let's be honest here. $70 billion buyout. But that's not gone through yet. Like any other buyout that's been announced before or after it has gone through and no issues. But we're still in a situation where they haven't got that input. They haven't got the Microsoft backing because many different fair competition courts across the globe are challenging it, are querying it, and questioning it. And
why is it just being challenged? What is their main challenge? Are they just trying to prevent a Microsoft monopoly, or
pretty much, yeah. So I can only speak with dead certainty on the UK one because it's the one that I've got the most access to. But I know Brazil are challenging it. I know Australia are challenging it. I believe Japan are looking into it. I don't think they're challenging it just yet, but they're looking into it. The problem you face is the counter argument from everybody will be, oh, but what about Sony buying this development studio or that development studio? What about Tencent buying this development studio or that development studio? And everything we're seeing these other companies do at the moment is just that. They're just buying studios that they've worked with for years, that have created exclusive content for these platforms for years. Yeah. They're just finally saying, yeah, come under the umbrella. Let's just fund you properly, pay for everything. You don't have to worry about the monetary side of things again, really, as long as you keep creating bangers for us, which is perfect. We've seen a slight difference in that with Sony buying Bungie and leaving everything multi-platform, which is great for the players, great for the company of Bungie because it allows them to put stuff in new places. But it's also great for Sony because they get all of Bungie's expertise about developing in things like the cloud, which is the future of gaming, obviously, and their ideas and experience in developing live service games, which everybody else has failed at. So you get a good quid pro quo scenario. the situation you face with Microsoft is Microsoft are the third richest company on the planet. They've got $1.9 trillion in the bank. Like, I struggle to understand the 70 billion that they put up for Activision Blizzard. So that 1.9 trillion, I can't even fathom what that equates to. And they are going out and they are buying publishing houses. So they're not buying individual developers like, say, Arcane or Ninja Theory and what have you. They've done that in the past, but now they're just buying publishing houses. So they bought the entirety of Bethesda. Yeah. So every Bethesda Softworks developer is now under the Microsoft umbrella. I think they got like 7 or 8 developers in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
With the Activision Blizzard acquisition, they will be gaining something like 15 developers, 15 studios that can all produce games across multiple different platforms, across PC, across console, across mobile, and across cloud. And it's like, that's an acquisition rate that nobody else in the industry can keep up with. Nintendo can't keep up with that. Sony can't keep up with that. Google could if they wanted to, as could Amazon with their 2 gaming platforms. But neither of them seem to be that like convincing that they're going to stick around in the gaming sphere at the moment.
Yeah.
But they've got that spending money if they wanted to. But Microsoft are committed to being in gaming, and they are throwing that money around. And they threw $68 billion, I think it was, as the actual figure, to buy Activision Blizzard.
$68 billion. They should have just
$68 billion.
Should have just offered an extra billion, just made it even more of a meme.
Well, yeah, that would have been ace. But I think the problem they're facing is because of all of these challenges going through, because this will give them a big monopoly, especially with some of the franchises that would then be under Microsoft's umbrella, like World of Warcraft, for example. That would suddenly be a Microsoft property, and there would be nothing stopping them from saying, oh, you've got to get it through the Microsoft launcher. You can no longer get it through anywhere else. They would then have Call of Duty. They would then have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. They would then have Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Yeah. These are all top-end AAA franchises that have defined the gaming landscape for decades. And suddenly they would all be Microsoft exclusive.
You can imagine they'll all be on Game Pass as well. Game Pass.
Yes, 100%, because Microsoft want to basically destroy all the competition by outspending them. That's what it feels like at the moment. But what you face with like the fair competition challenges in different countries is that monopoly. Like here in the UK, you can't have a monopoly. You can't. There was a proposed sale of paging services a few years back. I know most people don't use pagers anymore, that 1980s technology, but a lot of the emergency services do. There were 2 companies competing at the time offering different services, but then one of them wanted to close their paging network down and send that off elsewhere. And that was stopped by this fair competition area of the government, because it would give this one company a monopoly, despite the other company closing down, giving them a monopoly anyway by default, because they're the only person offering that service. But when you've got equal competing companies trying to do the same thing, and you've got one who has the ability to outspend the others by like 7,000 times, that's where the challenges have got to come in, because it's like, well, is that fair to the gamers on the other platforms? Is that fair to the consumer? It's nothing to do with the companies and their profits and what they're taking home. It's whether it's fair for the consumer. And that's what this area of government was set up for within the UK. And that's what they are looking into. Whether it will stop the acquisition and stop all of these titles becoming exclusive, I don't know. But what it means for Activision Blizzard in the meantime is they haven't got that influx of money, because Microsoft can't hand that over until the sale's gone through worldwide and it's gone through all of these fair competition courts and such.
Yeah.
So maybe that's had an effect on, let's say, the Overwatch season pass and the pay-to-win aspect of it. I don't know. I'm not an insider, but it's the only thing that I can see other than sheer corporate greed that would cause them to create a battle pass in that way.
I just think they're greedy.
Track record would probably say, yeah.
Genuinely just think they're greedy, and that's what they've and that's why they've gone down that route, because they just want money, don't they? The bastard.
Yeah, and it's not coming from Microsoft just yet, so no. Hey, let's get it another way. What a situation. If you're an Overwatch fan and you do happen to be watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to it on any of the other platforms, please feel free to hop over to YouTube. We'll give you all the details at the end as to where you can find us. Hit us up in the comments about your thoughts on any of these subjects that we're going through today, especially this one. If you're an Overwatch fan, Activision Blizzard fan, Microsoft fan, how do you feel about either of these situations? And I think that's probably everything we've got to put into the Activision Blizzard side of things for today, eh?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
So, moving forward, didn't mean for that to be a pun, but we're looking at Ubisoft forward.
I didn't actually watch this, so this is going to be a very Dorag-ing-heavy section of you effectively mansplaining it to me, because I have no idea what went on.
Okay, I will try my best to be a toxic mansplainer to you. I don't know how
Thanks,
well that's
babe.
going to go. So when we're recording this previous weekend, Ubisoft held a forward event about the future of their franchises. In terms of the franchises that were mentioned, there was a little bit on For Honor, a little bit on Division with a couple of DLC releases and a mobile game release, and a lot on Assassin's Creed. In terms of the presentation itself, I would have put it probably at a C or a D. It was very boring. It was people sitting on a sofa talking at a camera, and then you got essentially a small CG trailer. Most of them weren't longer than a minute, and a title card. And it didn't get me excited for anything that Ubisoft were doing. Some of that is my past experience in their games. The last sort of 4 games from Ubisoft that I've played have all severely disappointed me. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion. I can't even remember what was before. Oh, Division 2. And
couldn't tell you the last time I played an Ubisoft game. Literally,
yeah,
tell you.
They've not been churning out good quality content, should I say. But yeah, it wasn't a great presentation. It didn't really give you anything to look at and pass judgment on. There was nothing to say, yes, I'm going to enjoy that story, or, oh my days, that gameplay looks amazing. It was all very much a case of, here's something we're working on currently. And because most of it was Assassin's Creed, and I have been embroiled in the Assassin's Creed franchise since day one, I wanted to view it. I wanted to see what was coming, and I felt exhausted by the end of it. So in a 40-minute presentation, they gave us 6 different Assassin's Creed announcements.
Oh, really?
Really, 6
Sounds
different
like
announcements.
Exit all in one basket sort of situation for Ubisoft at the moment. If you don't like
That's
Assassin's
pretty much
Creed,
what it feels like,
you're
yeah.
out of luck, boys.
So they've said they've got like 3 core franchises, 3 pillars that they're going to be focusing on and trying to change the way that they do things to improve the Ubisoft situation, because they're broke as far as people can tell. Tencent are coming in and buying like 49% of the company.
Okay.
Like, Ubisoft wouldn't sell to anybody just a year ago. They were like, nope, we'll never sell, we can't. But now they're selling to Tencent for 49% of the company. Tencent aren't getting any control in it, which is a bit weird. I don't know what the deal under the table there is, but maybe it was one of these Assassin's Creed announcements because it's based in China, which is something fans have been asking for years. Mm-hmm. It's something we've had a mini game of previously, but with Tencent being a Chinese company, maybe it's like, hey, we'll give you this financial influx, make us a game set in our country on your pillar franchise sort of thing. So that one's going to be a mobile game, which is something that Tencent do a lot of. They are behind Call of Duty Mobile, Apex Legends Mobile.
The mobile
both fantastic titles.
Huge in China, though, isn't it?
It's massive. Like it's the biggest worldwide. Like you can ignore PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Nintendo. You can ignore every hardware developer, every platform out there. Just launch on mobile and make more money.
Yeah.
Like the most profitable game continues to be Pokemon Go. 6 years after its launch, it's mad how much that game makes for a free-to-play title.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got a Chinese game coming for mobile. They announced a feudal Japan game, which was kind of shocking considering for the past 10 years they've said we will never base an Assassin's Creed title in feudal Japan. My problem with that one is sort of 2 to 3-fold. One, they're going the RPG route with that, which hasn't worked well for Assassin's Creed on the last 2 outings. So I don't know how well that's actually going to play. It's going to work. But probably more importantly, we've had a better Assassin's Creed experience in recent years from Ghost of Tsushima, the PlayStation exclusive, which is set in feudal Japan. Okay. And if it doesn't come up to half of what that game did, it's going to be classed as an abject failure. So they've got the work cut out to try and match the competition on that one. They announced another mobile title. Can't remember the name of that one or its setting. So there were 2 mobile titles announced.
Must have been that good.
Must have been that good. The problem you face with them all is that the only one that got any sort of good coverage is the one that's coming out next year in 2023 for all of your main platforms, which is Assassin's Creed Mirage. They want that to be more akin to the original release, so a stealth-based game. But they only gave us a CG trailer and a title card. And it wasn't a long CG trailer either. I think it was like 3 minutes long. When you're looking at it, it's all reused assets from previous Assassin's Creed trailers, literally every aspect of it, from either Assassin's Creed 1, 2, or Brotherhood. Right. Every animation in that trailer is from previous Assassin's Creed trailers. It gave me the idea that it's a lazy game. It might not be. I hope to be proven wrong. I hope it's an absolute banger and it's what Assassin's Creed fans have been clamoring for the past 5 years. But thus far, everything that's been put out and said about it feels like it's just further reuse of assets and a very lazy story.
Just a nostalgic cash grab.
Basically cashing in on nostalgia, yeah, 100%, 100%. So that's the only one we've got big stuff on. Everything else had a 30-second to 1 minute CG stinger. It wasn't even a trailer. There was nothing shown other than, say, the setting or something and a title card. And that title card was Assassin's Creed Project and then a color, or Project and then a word. Like, it was all code names for these developments. It's like they're in pre-alpha stages. They haven't even got names for these games yet. They haven't even got synopsises for these games yet. They don't know where they're going, what they're doing with them. That was the sort of impression that it gave me. And then they announced an Assassin's Creed Netflix show, which I'm pretty sure they announced 3 years ago.
Oh, okay. But
it still hasn't launched. It's like, what are you doing here? You announced an Assassin's Creed Netflix show in 2019. I remember reading about it in the office when, work used to be in offices. Yeah. And being excited about it back then. But
to be fair with Netflix, they've probably already cancelled it.
It's possible it's already cancelled, yeah. So maybe this is a new one, a different one. But I'm pretty sure we've had that announcement before. And that was announced on the Ubisoft Forward. Yeah. But otherwise, it was there's a Heartlands expansion coming to the Division 2, which from what I've read feels a bit like a horde mode type idea, a survival horde mode, which if you're a Division 2 fan, I imagine that's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm just not, so it didn't do anything for me personally. There's a Division 2 mobile game doing a similar sort of thing, I think. They announced that Trackmania is coming to additional platforms and consoles. So I believe it's releasing on Xbox, believe it's releasing on Luna and Stadia as well. Okay. But then the Stadia support was missing from Assassin's Creed Mirage, which, like, why are you partially supporting a platform? Why are you partially not supporting a platform? It was a very weird situation. It's caused a lot of consternation in a lot of different communities over this last week. And I really don't know how to feel about it. I'm not excited, I can tell you that much. There was nothing in the forward that hyped me up as a long-time Assassin's Creed fan, as a long-time Ubisoft player. Yeah. But I didn't feel disappointed or anything either, because I think I've already written them off a little bit.
Just a very meh presentation.
That's probably the best way to put it, yeah. Like, nothing felt good.
No standouts.
Yeah, nothing that I can bring forward. Like, I have to really sort of sit and think on it to give you the information that I've given you. And even then, that took a lot of brain power. I'm getting a headache thinking on it, sort of thing.
Fair.
So yeah, that's the Ubisoft Forward situation. I mean, you didn't even watch it.
No, I didn't read this part of the notes, so I didn't read up. As you'll tell as these podcasts go on, I am the most unprepared person in the world. These podcasts will be carried by Dorag-ing and Wibblesniff, and I'm just here for the ride. Ubisoft Forward, I didn't watch it, but I'll listen to. Fuck, I gotta stop doing that. But I'll listen to Dorag-ing talk about it for like 20 minutes because, yeah.
Well, how about we talk about something that you know then? Let's talk about something you know. Let's move forward because the day we're recording this is the day after the day that gamers were rewarded. We've waited, and then yesterday, Nintendo and Sony said, you know what? Let's give you what you want. So we got both a direct and a state of play on the same day. The direct was first. Now, you and I actually watched this together.
We did.
I needed new eardrums after that.
To be fair, right, I thought both the state of play and direct were pretty underwhelming, in my opinion. Mostly because I know Nintendo came out with some big reveals for them. You know, they have some big games and everything, but the big games they revealed are just games that I've never really been too interested in. Like Fire Emblem. That Fire Emblem game looked cool. That looked fun. I'm sure Fire Emblem fans will have an absolute whale of a time with that. I've played Fire Emblem once. Is when I played the GBA version Fire Emblem on my DS. I played it Christmas Eve from 6 p.m. till Christmas morning, 7 a.m. And I ruined Christmas because I slept through it all. That's my one experience with Fire Emblem. I don't
Probably not the most positive.
No, the game was great. I never played it again, but I like the look of Fire Emblem games, but I don't want to pay 60 quid to play one. And then
fair.
Pikmin, I couldn't care. I mean, that Pikmin Bloom, it was effectively an advertisement. It was effectively, no one's playing Pikmin Bloom. Let's shove it in the direct for how long did they talk about that for? Like 5 minutes of a 40-minute direct was just them chatting shit about Pikmin Bloom.
It was a lot longer than I expected it to be, considering it's a Niantic game, the same as Pokemon Go. I didn't expect the focus that it had.
It's probably just not doing too well, and they want to bring some attention to it. So they just thought that they'd go talk about it for however many long they talked about it. That whole section was a little bit weird, in my opinion, because you had Miyamoto. Miyamoto is the Don. We stand Miyamoto here, and he comes out and he's like, "Yo, there's a Super Mario film coming out. Remember about that?" Anyway, here's Pikmin 4. I was just like, what? Why?
Yeah, there was nothing more
Pratt
on that.
I want to hear what Chris Pratt sounds like as Super Mario. I want to hear what Seth Rogen sounds like as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, before I actually write this movie off, I want to see and hear it. And I was kind of shocked that there was this focus on it. It's like, yeah, remember this movie. It's like, okay, here we go. Trailer for the movie. Yeah. Great. Or even just a stinger for the movie. And Chris Pratt going, "It's me, I'm Mario." And we got nothing.
Nothing. I was quite disappointed in that. Like the direct that they announced the Mario film in is the most I've laughed in such a long time. Because that cast list is the most incorrect but also perfect thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And
yeah, if you were going to do it
just for the cast,
yeah, it's weird because it's an animated movie, isn't it? It's not live action or anything. Like they've already got the voices of all these characters on the payroll.
They want that.
Why did they go big names?
They want that Hollywood power to push it because it's made by the same people that made Despicable Me as well. They're not just going to settle for just the original voices. They want
just
Chris
the best
Pratt
in the industry. No, let's not settle for them.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a garbage fire that I can't take my eyes off, but I am very much looking forward to that. But I was a bit disappointed we didn't get to see any of the Mario film. But do you know what we did get to see? 6 different farming games.
Was it 6?
There were 6 different farming games. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good farming game, and Dorag-ing will attest to this. The biggest pop-off I had during that direct is when they announced Story of Seasons, Wonderful Life, because I played the original Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life on the GameCube, and I love that game. That game is brilliant, and I'm so glad that we're getting a remake on the Switch. I I popped off for that. I was hype. I screamed. I am a 31-year-old man, and I screamed for a cartoon farm game, and I'm not afraid of it. I'm not going to hide behind it. But then we got another cartoon farm game. Then we got another farm game, and then we got Rune Factory. I like Rune Factory. Rune Factory's cool, but it's a
Rune Factory
game.
was different because at least you've got the dungeon crawling in there with it. But there's a few of those around as well, where you've got like farming during the day, dungeon crawling at night.
Yeah,
it's a genre that I never expected to become oversaturated. But like, we had Harvest Moon, and we had Stardew Valley for a while. And it's like you need one or two to compete and make the other improve. But I never expected we'd get 6 announced in the same day.
Well, that's the thing, because we never really had that many farming games. Because we had the original Harvest Moon, and then Harvest Moon, I think the way it worked is Harvest Moon broke up with NUTZ or whatever it was. I can't remember how it worked, but Harvest Moon became something else, a different developer or publisher made the game. And Story of Seasons was the original Harvest Moon. So you had the Harvest Moon games and Story of Seasons games. The Harvest Moon games were generally garbage, and the Story of Season games were generally okay. And then out of nowhere, you had the masterpiece that is Stardew Valley. And then for a while, we just had Stardew Valley, which is amazing. One of my favorite games of all time. I do like a good farming game. And then just the occasional Story of Seasons release. And then now we're just inundated with hundreds of very, very similar, samey farming games. And now we've got Square Enix have made Harvestella. It's got Pissing Harvest in the name. It's a farm game. Farmnal Fantasy. I don't know if that's not good. Final Fantasy. That's it. Final
Fantasy. I like that.
That's sticking, but it just all looks the same. I don't know. I don't want to grind a farm game that's the same as all the other farm games when I can just grind the farm game that I like. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit harsh.
Maybe, but I think I had the same sort of reaction to the JRPGs that were coming out. Like, wise, combat wise, they did all have nuance. They were all slightly different, but every single one of them, from an aesthetic approach, looked like Genshin Impact. Every single one.
So we were watching it. There was a few of us watching it, and we were watching with our good friend JD Games. And he isn't the biggest of like Nintendo gamers and everything. And every time they started showing one of these JRPGs, he's like, "Is this Genshin? Is this Genshin? Oh, that looks like Genshin." Like every game looked like Genshin Impact.
And considering there were rumors that Genshin Impact's Switch release was going to be announced yesterday as well, like I could understand him going down that route of, is this Genshin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get... If we were going to have Genshin on the Switch, we would have had it by now, surely.
I would have thought so. But then saying that, like, we've only just got It Takes Two on the Switch, which also looked terrible.
It looked like an Xbox 360 game, didn't it? I guess.
Oh my days!
Like, It Takes Two, like when I first played It Takes Two, I was actually quite taken aback, like, by just how good it looked. Like the graphics in It Takes Two were actually really nice. When
considering it's very stylized, yes,
I was like, this goes harder than it needs to go. But the thing that stood out for me for It Takes Two was just the gameplay was exceptional. Every level was a different genre, basically, which I think will come across nicely on the Switch. It doesn't need to look good to still be a good game. It's just when you've seen how good it looks on, because I played it on PS5. When you see how good it looks on PS5 or PS4, I don't know if there was a specific PS5 version, but whatever, I played it on PS5. And then you see the Xbox 360 quality graphics of the Switch. It's just a bit like, oh, okay.
Because I played it on Xbox Game Pass. I played it via the cloud on my tablet. So that's in a heavily compressed 1080p.
Yeah.
But it still looked so much better than what that Switch footage was. And I don't get why they keep putting games like this on the Switch, because you got Outer Worlds on there, which looks and plays awfully. It's got that much pop in that the fully. And they put The Witcher 3, this massive 300-hour epic, on the Switch, and it's basically 3 pixels as far as I can tell from the gameplay I've seen of it.
I didn't want to play that on the Switch. I was thinking, oh, yeah, that'd be quite cool to play on the Switch. Just, because the reason I didn't finish The Witcher 3 is because I just didn't have the time to do it. But if you're like in bed and watching TV, you can play it. But then I saw the graphics of it, I was like, I'm all right.
Yeah,
and I'm never really
alright,
one of
I'm alright.
those graphics means a good game type of person. But I just think sometimes, just for games like Witcher, it does need to look nice.
Games like The Witcher, where it's got that many buffs and debuffs that come on screen, and such, you need to be able to see what's going on. And if you're playing that handheld in 720p, heavily compressed, downgraded from the 4K that it started at, you're not going to be able to read all of that. That's my biggest thing for games of that variety. Now, if those games are created specifically for the Switch hardware, I can guarantee they will go hard. Like, developers who develop things for the Switch, and only the Switch, make amazing titles. They might not all be for me, but they go hard. And they make sure that if you need buffs, if you need debuffs and all that sort of stuff, it's on the screen, it's readable, you know what's going on. But when we're taking games that were created for much more powerful hardware, like The Witcher 3 is a PS4 title, and don't get me wrong, the base PS4 that it runs on is a 1080p 30 frames per second piece of hardware with like minute and a half load times. But even so, it's got a massive hard drive in it that you can upgrade and what have you, and it changes the way the games play, but it still looks and plays great. To try and put that on a handheld console with like hardware from 10 years previous and a different architecture in graphics, it's never going to work well. And every port we've seen from these bigger, beefier consoles to the Switch has never really worked well. And I think that's what we're seeing with It Takes Two as well. I'd be interested if the gameplay is as good as it was for you on PlayStation or me on the Xbox side of things.
No. Hopefully it is, because that was the best part of It Takes Two, was just the gameplay and playing with a friend. It was good fun. But I guess the other alternative for Switch then is what we saw with the Resident Evil announcement, where you get cloud versions. Now, I think cloud, like I'm not as into cloud gaming as you are, Dorag-ing, but I do think there is a place in the gaming scope for cloud gaming, but not when Nintendo do it, because Nintendo are rubbish at it. Like, because I heard when they announced the Kingdom Hearts collection, because you could play Kingdom Hearts. Was it 1, 2, and 3?
It was 1, 2, and 3. Yes.
Yeah, on the Switch, which I thought that's cool. Just for the record, guys, if you've not played Kingdom Hearts, just play 1 and 2.
No bias there at all.
No bias. If Suni, if you listen to this, fuck off. But I was just like, that's cool though, because they're effectively PS2 games and a PS3 game, but they're like, we'll put the cloud versions on. I was like, okay, fair enough. But everyone that played them said they ran like crap.
Yeah, and I used a bit of the streaming on the Switch. I did it for Control. Now I've played that on PlayStation 5, and with the full ray tracing turned on and everything, it is in terms of graphical ability and the smoothness that it all runs. But it was so janky, so jaggedy and weird on the Switch. Now I'm playing all of these things on the same broadband network, so I get 550 megabits per second down. I've got like a 40 megabit per second up, and most importantly, I've got a 12 millisecond ping. And when it comes to cloud gaming, the ping is your biggest sort of sticking point. If that's higher than say 20 milliseconds, you're going to notice input lag, you're going to notice screen tearing and all of that sort of stuff. So for me, that 12 millisecond ping means I get a really solid, really good experience. I go on. But every time I've used Switch cloud games, I have not had a good experience. And if that is the only experience people have had of cloud gaming, I can see why so many people just turn their nose up at it. Because, like, you take your first experience of it, don't you? Yeah. Like, first impressions matter greatly. And like, I've had videos sent to me from yourself where you're plugged into the Ethernet and you've got like 2 frames a second on PlayStation's cloud gaming platform. But then I've sent stuff to you where I've got VHS rolling on Xbox's cloud gaming platform. It's definitely the future. Like, when they work really well. But right now, I don't think any of them work well enough of the time to be the default way to play for a lot of people. And especially with Switch, I mean, we've seen it with their Switch Online servers that seem to be made up of duct tape and string and maybe some chewing gum here and there.
Yeah.
That they don't do online well, especially when you consider that we pay online. The fact that they're made that badly sucks. But it also shocks me because Google have offered the Stadia tech, which is probably the best version of video game streaming tech out there, as a business-to-business operation. So you can just go in, buy the Stadia tech, and put it on your platform. Why Nintendo haven't done that, so that they've got basically the best technology running their games on their platform, they would dominate.
Yeah.
But that I don't know. I don't know why Nintendo do things in the backwards arse way that they do most of the time. So the biggest announcement was probably GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. To be fair, the whole N64 section was pretty good.
It was back, like, we were screaming. Like, you consider there were 6 of us on that call.
All just yelling about 20-year-old Pokemon Stadium games, yeah.
Yeah, we were yelling at...
The good thing about...
By the end of that.
The good thing about what people tend to forget about these N64 games that they put onto the Nintendo Switch Online is it does come with online multiplayer. You can play these games online. Again, it can be a bit jank, but you can play them online. If you all have decent connection and everything, you can have fun with it. So you can play games like Mario Kart 64 and stuff online with friends. So, and that opens up so many fun opportunities to do like challenge battles against your friends on Pokemon Stadium, or the mini games on Pokemon Stadium were so fun. They put Mario Party on there. I love Mario Party. Mario Party 2
doesn't love Mario Party? Let's be honest here.
Pinnacle of gaming. Do you see that the Japanese Direct, they actually announced one extra game?
It doesn't surprise me. There are regional differences in most of these services. So yeah, I can imagine that there were extra games in Japan for a Japanese console.
Game it was. Guess what game it was?
Oh, go.
Farming!
Okay, I'm not as bothered anymore.
It was Harvest Moon 64, which I was bothered. I want Harvest Moon 64. But whatever. I'll get over it. But yeah, GoldenEye for the Nintendo Switch is going to be really good. But what you got to remember is that's also, even though it's online, it's going to be on
Nintendo's servers.
It's going to be split screen as well still.
That's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with split screen gaming. I actually really like it. And it doesn't help the average gamer. Unless you are top tier FPS type gamers where stream sniping actually helps you. I could sit there and glare at your screen if we were playing together, for example, know exactly where you are and still lose the gunfight. But for most people, for the average gamer, still having that split screen actually makes it a bit more fun. And if you're doing that and it is split screen, imagine it from a streaming and content creation perspective. You get everybody's point of view.
Yeah, I guess.
That's great.
Yeah, I see that. Makes sense.
The big one for most people, though, would probably be the final announcement.
Yeah.
Which was, of course...
Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, which, again, I'm not sure about the name, but I was unsure about the name Breath of the Wild as well, so I'm sure it'll grow on me, which a lot of people are speculating was the reason why it wasn't shown live in the UK. Tears of the Kingdom... On the nose,
it's fair. It's kind of the situation many of us were in over the last week, wasn't it? Yeah.
I said at the beginning of the Direct that all I wanted from the Direct was a release date and a title for Breath of the Wild 2, effectively, which we got. And I was still fucking disappointed. I was still disappointed in the end because I want to know, man. This game was supposed to come out this year. This game was supposed to come out in a couple of months, or I was it November or something? It was supposed to come out.
Wasn't it delayed from last year? I remember there was buzz for it coming out around Christmas last year at one point.
Yeah,
and then they came out in a direct around October time, where they basically been radio silence. So October 2021, they came out in a bit more time, which everybody's fine with. We'd rather you get a decent game that's finished than which was god awful when it launched. It was an unfinished mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't been a massive fan of Breath of the Wild and what have you. It still felt like it's been in development and been announced and coming for 5 years.
Yeah. Well, it was announced. What was it announced? 2019, 2018, I think it might have been 2019. It was announced. That was 3 years ago. Which I think the thing that disappointed me a little bit is I just want to know about the game. I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people don't like spoilers and want to go into the game fresh and everything. But I just want to know the premises of it. I want to know, like, we stayed in that call for like 20 minutes after the direct finished, and we were going through the trailer and we were stopping it and slowing it down bit by bit to just try and see, like, where's this game set? Like, is it the same map as Breath of the Wild, but with like an extra on top of it bit, or is it a smaller map at the bottom with extra on top? But I just need to know. I'm so impatient.
I get it. I really do. But I also get them not really wanting to show much. Like, it's sort of a catch-22 situation, isn't it? You've got the one side where everybody wants to know everything they possibly can about it, but there's those people who like to go in blind and discover the game for themselves. And depending on both of those camps, personally, so I completely get both aspects, but it didn't do anything for me. That was mine. I didn't like Breath of the Wild, so I wasn't expecting to like.
Not going to do anything.
Tears of the Kingdom, yeah, 100%.
It's just noise at this point, Jim. Fuck, ignore that bit. Whatever. The other bit that bothered me about it as well is when they delayed it last year or this year, or whenever they bloody delayed it earlier this year. I'm pretty sure they said spring. I'm pretty sure they said it's going to come out spring or early next year. Now, forgive me. May is not spring. May is May.
May is getting ready for summer, yes.
Yeah. May is like early summer in my book.
I mean, for us here in the UK, May, the clocks go forward into British summertime.
Yeah. Yeah. When do they go forward? Wait, what day do they actually go forward?
It might be after Breath of the Wild that Tears of the Kingdom launches, to be fair, but hey ho.
Oh, piss flaps. Whatever, Nintendo, you win this one.
You win this one.
So,
let's get semantics.
Moving on then. So what did you think of the state of play, and how did it compare to the Nintendo Direct?
So compared to the Nintendo Direct, it was much better, but I think it's because it was so concentrated. There weren't as many announcements. We got to a point in the Direct where we were just getting a little bit of gameplay with the name of a game that's coming. They were just throwing that much into this 40-minute stream. So state of play stating immediately that it was going to be like 20 minutes long and they were going to show 10 games. That felt good. That was like 2 minutes per game, and it kicked off with Tekken 8. Tekken series since Tekken 3. It was one of the first games I got with my original PlayStation. Put so many hours into it, unlocked every single character, beat that story mode, beat that arcade mode.
Yeah,
I loved it. I really enjoyed the Tekken franchise. It broke the thumb nub off my original PSP. So I've put a lot of time into that, and to get a new one and it was all running on the PlayStation 5 system. Yeah. Everything you saw from that Tekken trailer was the system. That
impressed me about the Tekken trailer, because that was gameplay. That wasn't just, this is a cinematic to sell the game. Some of it
this is how the game's going to look when you play it.
This is gameplay, fam. This is what you're going to be looking at when you're playing, and that just looked exceptional. That was such a hype way to kick off the state of play, which I think it peaked for me. I think Tekken was the peak, but this is coming from someone that doesn't really play any of the other games.
So I'd probably agree. Like, as a starting point, it was a huge hype. It set a sort of course for the rest of it, and depending how you felt about what else was in there, that either set it too high to start or too low to start, and everything else was just better. There were a couple of things announced for PSVR. I've never used PlayStation's VR yet. Wibblesniff has, and I was hoping he was going to be here today, but unfortunately, as we've said earlier, the poor guy's ill, so he's missing out on this episode. But he had the original PSVR. So I'm looking forward to PSVR. I will be getting it. I don't know whether I'll be getting the Star Wars game, though I like the fact that it's not focused on the Skywalker saga. It's just like a side character story. So that could be quite good. I know there's Guerrilla Games putting stuff out there from the Horizon stuff and what have you. So it was just good to see gameplay from disparate VR titles. I liked that. The Like a Dragon remake, I've never been one for those games, but my days, that looked amazing. Once again, just like as a graphical gameplay showcase running on the PlayStation 5 system.
Is the Like a Dragon games, is that like the Yakuza games, or am I?
They're offshoots of the Yakuza games, yeah. But this one was very much like he's a katana wielder first and foremost, sort of thing. So it should be in my wheelhouse, but it didn't do anything for me. But I appreciate the remaking that title for those who love it. Hogwarts Legacy, PlayStation exclusive content. There's going to be arguments about that.
I'm a wizard. I honestly, I was surprised by that trailer. I was like, is this a fucking horror game? What is this?
I did not like that. That didn't feel like it had a place in the Harry Potter universe. But then
Potter's gone to, I don't know.
Harry Potter's gone to the dark side, sort of thing.
It was very weird. I don't think I'll be getting the Hogwarts Legacy game unless it's like put on PS Plus or something.
I think if it comes on Plus, I'll play it, but it's not one of those games I'm willing to spend like 70 quid on.
I'm not,
especially with
Harry
the
Potter
issues around the creator and everything.
Fuck you.
It's like it's icky. let's just put it that way.
It's not something I tend to comment on or anything. Yeah,
it's one of those things. For some people, it has a great effect on their buying habits. For some people, it really doesn't, and it's good to hear both sides, I feel. But I think my bigger one with Hogwarts Legacy is it's this massive RPG. I've had enough massive RPGs. I want games I can actually finish and don't take up my entire life at the moment. I miss the 10-hour action adventure games. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I miss them.
Harry Potter Philosopher's Stone on the PS1. That's a banging game.
I actually have that emulated.
That. Oh no, I've actually got the copy somewhere. PS1 Hagrid is how I aspire to be.
Yes,
that's why I aim my style choices on.
I mean, there were then a few interesting ones. The Pacific Drive, like, I'm interested in a driving horror survival game. It's a bit weird. I kind of like the premise, but I need to see more on it.
It made me interested until they started driving over like goo explosions and shit. I was like, oh, I'm not interested.
Yeah, fair play.
When there was more like mystery and spooky to it, and then they were just like running over like alien, like, I don't know. I'd use different words to describe it if we weren't on the podcast. But, just the alien goo that was everywhere.
The alien goo, yeah.
There
were then a couple of other ones. There was a PlayStation Stars update, the rewards program. I was very meh about that when it was announced. I'm glad it's not blockchain NFT stuff. No. I'm very happy with that one. It's just show off on your PlayStation profile. That's fine. Go for it.
All over that. I'm going to be all over. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Super Smash Bros. Melee when you collected the trophies for doing certain things. And then you could go to like a certain bit where you could see your whole collection. And the more you got, the bigger your table got. You're like, oh, I got this trophy for doing, 700 different kills. You're just like, oh, Lee, please go outside. And it's like, no! I need to get the one for 800 kills. So I'm going to be
grass.
I don't want to touch the grass. I want to play Pokemon. No, I'm going to be all over that.
You're going to be all over PlayStation Star. We have two very different types of gamer, aren't we?
I am going to be grinding the shiznit out of that. I know Xbox have like a reward system, but Xbox reward system doesn't give me little trophies that I can hopefully stick on a table.
It's weird, isn't it? Because the Xbox reward system actually gives you money off stuff.
Oh shit, does it?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it gives you money. Like, if you earn enough, if you play enough of it, it gives you money off stuff. But that stupidly doesn't feel as rewarding as that silly little thing on your profile to show off to your friends.
Yeah, no, that's stupidly. You are correct. I don't want £5 off a game. I want a little trophy that gives me no monetary value that I can put on a table that I can't physically access. Yeah, it's.
Oh my day! I did not expect this to be one of the major talking points.
Oh, mate, I want fake, shitty little plastic bollocks. I don't know.
I loved the look of Stellar Blade. Wibblesniff sent me a message about it, and he wanted me to sort of mention it within the podcast. He said Stellar Blade is PlayStation's Bayonetta.
Wibble, if you want it mentioned in the podcast, bloody turn up and mention it yourself. Let's not talk about it. Let's move on, just to piss him off.
Let's move on. Like, it looks okay. I want to see more of it though, but I don't know whether I'd buy it. If it comes on Plus, I'm there.
I didn't like the voices. I don't know if it's just me being like, because it was the Japanese trailer, wasn't it?
Yes.
the girl voices sound so young, and it makes me feel creepy because they're not the youngest looking of characters, and there was definitely jiggle
And there's
physics
something
in there.
wrong about it, isn't there?
I don't want my waifu woman with boob jiggle physics to sound like a 12-year-old.
Yeah. When they throw the boob jiggle physics in there, and it sounds like a 12. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. The last two things that were announced, I got proper hyped for. Like these are my wheelhouse.
What was the second to last one?
So the second to last one was from Team Ninja. It is Rise of the Ronin.
The Ronin one, yes.
That looks stunning.
Interesting. It looks interesting, yeah. I mean,
looks very interesting, very, very good. Obviously based within some historical fact and taking basically when East and West finally met after the 300 years of Japan being closed to the world. I am very interested in what that story is going to be, how they're going to try and tell that story. The gameplay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it looked like the Assassin's Creed that I want to play.
Yeah.
That looked like a much better Japanese set Assassin's Creed game than I can almost guarantee Ubisoft will make.
I mean, you got a little bit of a while to wait for that anyway. 2024 that comes out, doesn't it?
2024, that one. But I'm glad because there's a lot of stuff that has been announced for 2023 on the console. And if they're throwing more on there, I'm going to have to start picking and choosing. Yeah. So I'm okay with that being a little bit later. And considering these are all like partners for PlayStation, none of these are sort of first party. And Team Ninja have got a phenomenal track record for their games. I'm very much looking forward to that one. I didn't expect it to sort of peak it when it came up. I was like, oh god, here we go, another Ninja game. Yeah. Nah, I'm sold, I'm in.
Yeah, no, it looks good. So talk us through the last announcement, Dorag-ing. What were your thoughts?
So God of War Ragnarok, we have all known, has been coming for a long time. It got delayed by about 12 months because Chris Judge, who plays Kratos, destroyed his knee. He needed severe surgery, put him back together, and they delayed the game so that they could keep him as Kratos. So we've all been waiting quite a while. It was meant to be in the launch year of PlayStation. We're 2 years down the line and we're finally getting it. It's coming out in November 2022. I've been excited about it before launch. I've played every God of War game. I've enjoyed every God of War game. If you do ever check out either my channel or Lee's channel, you'll find my God of War content everywhere. I like the new DualSense.
I thought it looked cheap. I thought it looked cheap. I didn't like the colors. I don't know. There was something about it. I just thought I don't know if I like the colors. I thought it looked a bit cheap.
That's fair. I personally quite liked it. I liked the blue and the white. It's very much the Norse sort of feeling of God of War. I don't know whether I'll get it. They're expensive controllers, and I've already got two. I don't think I need another one. Yeah. If they throw Ragnarok faceplates out, on the other hand, well, them I might stump up for. We'll have to see.
That's fair.
But they then gave us the story trailer, and I was falling asleep by this point because I'm up for 6 o'clock for work most days. So, 11 o'clock, I'm generally falling asleep. 20 past 11, I'm gone. So I'm falling asleep. I'm trying to keep my eyes open, and then I was wide awake. That trailer hit every single note that I want this story to hit.
Yeah.
It's diving into Kratos' past. It's leaning hard into the Loki mythology, which is the name Kratos' wife wanted for their son before Kratos said, no, we'll call him Atreus after one of my friends. It had so much from Norse mythology, which if you've ever read the book by Neil Gaiman, it's just phenomenal. And then that final scene, that boss battle against Thor, Mjolnir versus the Leviathan axe.
That looks cool.
Oh my days. I think I can call it now. I feel happy calling it now. That God of War Ragnarok will be the game of the year for 2022. It will beat out even Elden Ring.
I don't know. I'll have to see about that, because me and Dorag-ing are very opposites in the fact of I really love Breath of the Wild. Dorag-ing doesn't. Dorag-ing really liked God of War. I couldn't get through it. It's a good game. Don't get me wrong. It's a good game, but nothing that grabbed me in the way that like Breath of the Wild and like Elden Ring did for me. It felt a bit too linear for me. I like being able to go off and do my own thing, like a child in the woods looking for mushrooms. That was a weird analogy. Ignore me. So comparing the two, if you look at the trailer for Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm gonna have to get used to that. You could see the different gameplay from the little bits we've got. You can see how the gameplay is going to be different from Breath of the Wild with the new abilities and just the whole presence of the game is different. From what I've seen of you play God of War and for what I've played myself, I didn't see anything different in the Ragnarok trailer in terms of pure gameplay. There was like bosses are different and the story looked different, but what is Ragnarok going to do different that's going to separate it from the original God of War? Like, how is it going to stand out?
If the series track record is anything to go by, nothing, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. Would you just be happy with just a straight up, just great story?
I would be happy if it played the same. If it played the same and just gave us a new story, I would be very happy. I went through the first three in the Greek saga, so God of War, God of War 2, God of War 3. I went through those games, and the gameplay was exactly the same. The button inputs, the combos that you could use, the upgrade path and everything, it was the same in every single game. But it was so well done in the first one. It was so well perfected. It didn't need to be changed and updated for the story. When they came to the Norse mythology, when we moved across from the Greek pantheon to the Norse pantheon, everything changed. All of the gameplay changed. And I was fine with that. It suits this era, this location. The sort of direction that the series seems to be taking is they'll wrap up the Norse saga and they'll move on to another pantheon of gods. We're probably looking at Egypt if the comics are anything to go by. And they could change everything up there, like new weaponry, new combat mechanics, new traversal mechanics. And again, I would be absolutely fine with that. But Sony Santa Monica have this track record of absolutely nailing mechanical gameplay straight out of the gate. They get it so right first time that they don't then need to change it. There are new combos, there are new inputs, new animations and such that I've seen within the trailers that are completely different than what was in God of War 2018. So there is going to be some variation in it. And it doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be a little bit to freshen things up. And I will be absolutely fine with that. It's very much going to come down to the story and boss battle mechanics. Boss battles have always been hugely interesting in this franchise. They've always been mechanic heavy. They've not been just bullet sponge type bosses where you just have to keep chopping away at them until they fall down. You've had to do specific things to get them into damage phases and then go ham. So I'm very much looking forward to that. The Thor one, I think, considering we've got basically the same weapon. So it comes down to those things. The mechanics in boss battles and the story are going to be the big driving factor behind this release. The gameplay, it can be the same. It's what God of War's always done, and I am totally fine with that.
That's all right then, because as I haven't played through any of the God of Wars, so I don't know how the difference in between is like. But like I said, like my big gaming experience is like Zelda and that, and every Zelda's different. Every Zelda has a gimmick, I guess, is the correct way of saying it.
And I think that's why I haven't always got on with Zelda, because I'll play one that I've really enjoyed, and then the next one is, as you say, completely different. I think that's why it has never properly gelled with me.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. But at least we've both got something to look forward to. I just have to wait.
You just have to wait 8 months. I only have to wait one.
Yeah. Shut up. I've got Pokemon to look forward to in 3 months. God, no, 2 months. Yeah. Let's go. I just slapped.
Yeah, we've got Pokemon coming. Ruby and they're really old ones, aren't they?
That's 20 years ago. Scarlet and Violet.
That's them.
They're the ones we're looking forward to. But
I'm sure we'll have a chat about them once they're out. We'll give like a review cast or something and what have you. But it's I think
any closing opinions on the State of Play Direct? If I was to close for myself, I would say that they were both, like I said, they were both pretty underwhelming in terms of stuff. But I guess I'm being a bit biased because, like I said, I'm not as invested in PlayStation stuff as I am in like Nintendo. But I think they're both like a C. I'd give them both a C. I wouldn't say one was particularly better than the other, and unless you really love farming games, then it's made fucking star for Nintendo. What about yourself, though, Dorag-ing? What are you thinking?
For me, the State of Play was excellent. It's definitely in that upper echelon sort of tier. there were lots of games that I was interested in, 3 or 4 that I really wanted, and considering there were only 10 shown off, to have 3 or 4 that you really want, that's a banger of a state of play. The Direct I would put more in the decent, sort of mid-tier category. There was quite a few good things, a few moments of intense hype, but a lot of stuff that was just, it felt like filler to make up the 40 minutes because they said it would be 40 minutes.
No, I agree with that. Like I said, there was, like, that's the thing with Directs, you get a lot of filler. There is a lot of filler. Now on to the headlines. Here's 18 different JRPGs that all look the same. Anyway, but we've been over this. We digress. So tell us massively, where can people find you around the internet to check you out, see you, join in with your live streams, and chat with you outside of those? You can find me on OnlyFans. You need a premium subscription. I put the massive is
the massive is poignant.
Gross overestimation because of that. No, I will. Like I said, you could catch me. The best places to catch me will be, like I said, Twitch at Massively Gaming. To come catch one of my streams, come call me a fatty. I don't really care. And if you want to chat with me, I do have Twitter. It's Lee_massive. That's the only socials really I use. So if you want to catch me there, you can. That would be wonderful. I don't post that often. I'm a very boring person, but come find out for yourself. What about yourself, Dorag-ing? Where would be the best place to catch you or to get in contact with you and have a chat and stuff?
So best place to catch my content would be on YouTube, youtube.com/c/Dorag-ing86. Outside of that, my Facebook has been... Because I spoke to somebody. I spoke to an old friend. They thought it was malicious content. They've blocked my account and they want my birth certificate to unlock it, and I am not giving that to Meta. So yeah, I don't have a Facebook anymore. That happened.
Okay,
sorry, folks.
Yeah, that's a thing.
So you can find me on Twitter at @theDorag-ing86. Anything else, there's links within my YouTube header. You can find it all from there, places to support us and what have you. For the podcast, we are on YouTube. If you want to leave comments, if there's stuff that you want to input, questions you want to have answered in future episodes, we will also have links to support options from there as well. If you are listening to us on any of your good podcast listening shows, stations, and what have you, please feel free to rate us. It will help the show out massively. Otherwise, my name is Dorag-ing. His name...
oh, shit, sorry. We're new. We're new. I'm Lee. I'm Massively. Shit. Keep this in, though, because it's funny. Keep going.
I need to keep this in. And we'll also have Wibblesniff01 in the future. Until next time, have a fantastic day, guys, and take care.